sectors of Jammu. Power went off after continuous sounds of sirens. Of course, we have been reporting today of these continuous threats, these reported attacks that took place from Pakistan that were stopped, according to a press briefing from the Indian government earlier on today. This targeting 15 areas within the north and east of the country. We're hearing again, I will reiterate the news that we just brought you. A blackout has occurred in Aknor and Planwala sector of Jammu. Power went off after continuous sounds of sirens. This, of course, amid ongoing escalations from Pakistan, India retaliating to the action that has been carried out, also leading to the deaths of 16 civilians along the line of control. This after almost a fortnight of reported small arms firings and violations from Pakistan, which have escalated into mortar strikes and heavy artillery firing, leading to the deaths of 16 civilian individuals across the line of control. We repeat again this update and information that we've had in this breaking news that a blackout has occurred in Aknor and Planwala, the sector of Jammu. After power went off, continuous sounds of sirens have been heard. Of course, this coming after a morning briefing was made earlier today, a press briefing stating that India has been retaliating to this Pakistani aggression. The retaliatory action was taken following the Pahalgam terror attack on the 22nd of April, which saw the deaths of 26 civilians. 15 separate areas within the north and the west of India targeted but stopped by India. Of course, this following Operation Sindoor, in which over 100 terrorists have been killed on clear and precise attacks on terrorist infrastructure. No civilians targeted, no military targets, purely civilian targets during Operation Sindoor, which of course has led to the death of over 100 terrorists. These visuals that we are seeing now, I'm being told these are from drone strikes. We're playing them now for you. Of course, as you can see, the action in the dark sky. This as a blackout has occurred, of course, in Aknor and Planwala. So these drone strikes, we're getting visuals from, these I'm being told are taking place in Jammu. Of course, this is an evolving situation, and we will bring you all of those updates. Joining us to discuss this latest development is retired Major General Rajan Kochhar, defence expert. Thank you once again for joining us, Major General. I repeat what we have said, this breaking news, a blackout has occurred in Aknor and Planwala, a sector in Jammu. Power went off after continuous sounds of sirens, and we've just seen some visuals there of what appears to be drones in Jammu. What's your response to this breaking development?
Joshua, as I feared, I think Pakistan has escalated the situation. It seems like that, as you are mentioning that there is a drone strike in Aknur and the blackout has taken place because in the night, any target which lights up, it can be acquired very easily by either the aircrafts or the drones. Now, in case they had launched an airstrike, that would have been a signal for a total war. But what happens is this kind of a drones being used because they would always like to justify it, saying that the Indians also use drones, so we have also used drones. So now you see this pattern. I just want to highlight this pattern because in 2019 we carried out an airstrike, Balakot, and within 24 hours, 36 hours, Pakistan carried out a similar swift retort. So now, what has happened is that we have carried out a missile strike on their terrorist camp. They carried out a missile strike on our military installations. They failed. We carried out a drone strike in retaliation of that missile strike, and now there is a drone strike again in retaliation of our drone strike. So, what I see this pattern emerging is that a kind of you give, I take, you give, I take, that kind of a situation is developing now. I it would be too early for me to suggest that what would be a further escalation from India's side now, because Pakistan has been adequately warned that in case of any further escalation, things are likely to go out of control. That's why I told you in the last interview, there's only one flashpoint is required for two armies who are fully armed, nuclear powers, standing next to each other. One flashpoint can trigger a war, and it has happened in history if you read military history also. So I would feel that at time, I don't know what the world community is thinking and what sort of commitment they have to reduce the tensions between these two countries, because somebody has to come forward and create an environment uh, for communication. Because always remember, I think follow this in my thinking of military strategy, that if you have no communication, if you don't establish some form of communication or a track to diplomacy, as we call it at times, when the governments don't talk to each other, there is a track to diplomacy in work, which facilitates a ground for the governments to talk to each other. I think that is not happening. And if that is not happening, that's a worrying sign, because if you remember, we were able to reduce tension with the Chinese in the line of actual control because we kept on talking to each other. So now, if you're not talking to each other, there are voids, there are misunderstandings, there are miscommunications, and all those things will happen. So, Joshua, I think this is going to escalate further.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to repeat the breaking news that we have for you. A blackout has occurred in Aknor and Plumwala sector of Jammu. Power went off after continuous sounds of sirens. Since then, we have received visuals of drones in Jammu, which you can see now. We're getting reports that blasts have also been heard in Jammu under these blackouts. Of course, this coming following escalations from Pakistan, with attacks reportedly set for 15 areas within India along the north and the west. These were foiled and stopped by India. Of course, also Operation Sindoor targeting terrorist infrastructure within Pakistan. We wait to receive more information, of course, about this apparent drone strike in Jammu. But the situation looks like, from what we can see and what we've been told, this is a clear escalation in tensions. Of course, this here, we're seeing drones. The power has gone off with the sound of sirens. I will bring back in retired Major General Rajan Kochar. If this information is true, what do you think the next step is, Major General?
Joshua, anybody's guess, because I think this decision will have to be taken by our Prime Minister and Cabinet Committee of Security, and we'll have to also carry out a damage assessment. Because you see, what happens is when a damage is minimal, or when you have been able to thwart a particular strike from the enemy, then the escalation also gets toned down. But if there is a substantial damage happening, then I think this is not going to stop at this, and you will see a very strong reaction from the Indian side.
Yes, absolutely. Major General, I just want to clarify and correct myself there. Of course, we don't have any information currently confirmed on where these drones are coming from. All we have is the visuals that we have shown you and the information of blackouts in the regions in Jammu, which I have mentioned. Of course, the blackout occurring in Aknor and Planwala, a sector of Jammu. Power has gone off after the sounds of sirens were heard. We have visuals which show drones in the region. There have also been reports from the ground, unconfirmed reports as of yet, that blasts have been heard in Jammu. This situation, of course, is continuing to evolve, and developments as we get them, we will bring them to you, of course, absolutely. Retired Major General Rajan Kochhar, just briefly, I want to look at a global response now. We spoke just minutes ago, earlier in the programme, about a conversation with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, which he had with the Pakistani Prime Minister, calling for a de-escalation. What else needs to be done from these world leaders and foreign ministers in order to make sure that de-escalation is what happens?
Joshua, I think there is a dichotomy here I'm seeing, and what dichotomy I'm seeing is becoming very, very visible to me every day, that there is a distancing between the political and the military leadership in Pakistan. Political leadership is trying for de-escalation, military leadership is escalating. See, both have to be on the same page. When you go to the US, when you go to the Secretary of State and you say that you want a de-escalation, but when you yourself are resorting to escalation, how can you expect any de-escalation to take place? It is a very simple logic. The very fact that General Munir, the Chief of the Army Staff of Pakistan Army, has appointed an NSA who is the DGISI, and he's wearing two caps today. One is the ISI and one is the NSA, which is never done in normal terms. This is the first time in Pakistan we are seeing a DGISI is also the NSA. So I think that was a clear signal to us and the world community in large to understand that General Munir wants to take control of this entire situation, and he is not going to brook any interference from the Pakistan political leadership. And that is what is happening right now. So I don't think these kind of maneuvers which are taking place from the political leadership with the US or with any other country is going to bear any fruit, because the guy who's calling the shots in Pakistan is the Chief of the Army Staff of Pakistan Army.
Yes, Major General Rajan Kochhar. We are now going to cut to these images that you are seeing on screen. Well, we have just heard there, of course, the sound of what appears to be blasts. We haven't had confirmation yet, but in this instance, of course,